Hello, Scott. Don't worry.
Good to see you, Mr. President.
John, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome, gentlemen and madam. The President has an announcement of special importance because of recent events in the South and elsewhere.
Thank you. Morning. We believe that all men are created equal and have the right to equal treatment under the law. Therefore, I have written an executive order to correct a great injustice and lay the foundation for civil rights laws that secure those rights to men of all colors and creeds in all places and at all times.
Damn it, why in God's name do they have to put niggers in with white boys in the Army?
And into federal employment.
Gentlemen, the President has come down here to explain his views.
My family had Southern leanings and Southern feelings. Near joining the Ku Klux Klan. Tom Pendergast talked me out of it because the Klan was anti-Catholic. But when I hear that Negro soldiers we're sending out to fight and die for their country get dumped out of armored trucks and beaten in Mississippi, and mob gangs in Georgia shoot on knows about it and does nothing, my stomach turns over. Whatever my inclinations as a native of Missouri might have been, as president, I know this is bad. It is an evil of the worst kind. I'm going to try to stop it, and that's all there is to it.
What beats me is how a man as smart as Franklin Roosevelt can make a damn failed haberdasher his vice president.
If we must grind up human flesh and bone in the industrial machine that we call modern America, we owe protection to those men first, and we owe the security for their families if they die. I say it, I voice it, I proclaim it, and I care not who in heaven or hell opposes it. I am the representative of 140 million people. I cannot stand idly by, for they are caused to suffer by reason of the coal miners and the railroad men going on strike. I request Congress to authorize the President to draft into the Army all workers who are on strike against their government.
In Europe, one-time allies fall to communist aggression.
From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent.
We're closer to war in Europe than at any time since 1939. If we recognize the Jewish state, the Arabs will attack. Jews don't have an army. We'll have to protect them. With what? We don't have the men, we don't have the weapons, and we can't take what we do have out of Europe.
And Stalin would view the creation of a Jewish state as a perfect opportunity to try and drive a wedge between Iran and the West.
Clark.
This is a foreign policy briefing, Mr. President. What is Clifford doing here?
He's the White House counsel. I asked him to be here, General.
Well, if you'll excuse me, sir, I believe Mr. Clifford's interest is in the Jewish vote.
Well, now, wait a minute. Let's just see what he has to say here. Clark?
No matter what the State Department or anybody else thinks, we are faced with the actual fact that there is to be a Jewish state. Recognition of that state would embody everything that this country represents. Not only the establishment of a friendly democracy in an unstable part of the world with no democratic tradition, but the creation of a safe haven for people whose suffering is so vast as to stupefy the human mind.
Well, George, he's right. And you're right. And Dean's right.
Well, sir, I must tell you that if you allow politics to determine foreign policy, then we're out of vote. I would vote against you in November. And I have nothing more to add to this. So. Excuse me.
Well, that was rough as a cub.
Let him resign. It's hard enough dealing with your friends. Why put up with open rebellion?
Harry, what are you doing here on Saturday?
For your desk. Got it from a fella in Texas.
The buck stops here.
How about it?
Doesn't it have a name?
It's supposed to be penciled in.
Yes, well, it's not here. Do I have to, can I just write it in here, or does it have to be typewritten?
Just write it in.
With my pen, Mr. President.
State of Israel. Eddie?
Harry, God put you in your mother's womb for this moment.
Mark? General Marshall. I'm sorry we disagreed, General.
January 20, there will begin in Washington the biggest unraveling, unsnarling, untangling operation in our nation's history.
Election year gathers momentum with Republicans solidly behind Governor Buick. President Truman's popularity plummets, and party leaders look to heroes of the war to replace him.
I am a soldier. I belong to the Army. And the Army is truly national. It lives to serve the nation and nobody else, no party.
The convention begins in chaos and infighting.
The South will not be crucified on the cross of civil rights. This is a naked effort to reduce the white man to a mongrel race. We'll nominate our own candidate and bid hairy-ass Truman and the Democrat Party farewell.
Ballot after ballot, the search for a new leader of the demoralized Democrats goes far into the night.
Television. Coast to coast. First time ever. Not that anyone's going to see you at 2 o'clock in the morning. Damn party's on some kind of suicidal jag. It's crazy.
One half vote. Roman, 947 and one half.
Maybe I can wake him up.
Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
To a new and a greater destiny. President of the United States, Harry S. Truman.
I just want to say that for the next 4 years, there's going to be a Democrat in the White House. You're looking at him. We will win because we are right and they are wrong. The do-nothing Republican Congress, the worst in history, say they are for education, civil rights, health insurance for everybody who's sick, housing for the working man, low taxes. All the things that I sent up to them and which they refuse to pass. Well, if they are for these things, I'm going to give them a chance to prove it. I am therefore calling this Congress back into session on the 26th of July, and if the Republicans really mean what they say, they can prove it by passing the legislation we gave them.
This is H.V. Kaltenborn speaking from the New York studios of the National Broadcasting Company. While Governor Dewey barely bothers to campaign, President Truman is on a whistle-stop crusade begging for votes wherever he can find them.
This is your fight. I'm just waking you up to the fact that it is your fight. You better get out there and help me win this fight, or you're going to be the loser, not I.
Do you really think Harry believes he's going to win?
Well, he certainly gives every appearance under every condition.
I think he's beaten. How does he keep going? Where does that come from?
What'll he do if he loses? What'll you both do?
Why, Clark, we'll go home.
The electorate goes to the polls in the widespread conviction that a Republican sweep is a certainty.
Don't you want to hear the returns? I'm gonna have a ham sandwich and go to bed. You wake me up, anything important happens.
Dewey is the winner. Counting of the vote has been very slow. Quiet jubilation is the mood at Dewey headquarters.
This is definitely a Republican year.
Has he heard the news?
Ladies and gentlemen, my father is not here, I promise. I do not know where he is.
Is Truman, has he heard the early returns?
I'm sorry, I really don't know where he is.
Does he know he's been beaten, Miss Truman?
Late returns show Democrats alienated by Truman's policies returning to the fold in surprising numbers. The president is 1 million votes ahead in the popular vote. Could it be the tide is turning? Unbelievable if true. For the first time since 1916, the United States faces a country so evenly divided in a national election that no one knows, hours and hours after the polls have closed, who is to be the next president of the United States. Harry Truman has accomplished one of the political miracles of our times. In the face of national polls that were universal in predicting his defeat, he has come through triumphantly in his bid for the presidency of the United States in his own
At the car, Frank. We got him beat.
Seen the morning paper, Mr. President?
Congratulations.